Welcome to this second Spirituality and Leadership workshop. In this workshop, we will experience the second dimension of our spirituality, the transcendental dimension, how contemplation helps us to discover the best of life, goodness, beauty, and truth, what the Greek philosophers call transcendence, and invites us on a life journey to build transcendence, a driver of leadership. During our days, we can experience beauty when we enjoy a beautiful landscape, when we look at the faces of children, when we enjoy good music. We can appreciate goodness when we contemplate someone doing a good deed, something well done, the magnificence of the universe, with its galaxies hundreds of millions of light years away. When we marvel at the microcosm, the perfection of our bodies, their biology. We can appreciate the truth when we read a good book, or talk to a good friend, or listen to a wise person. The appreciation of goodness, beauty, and truth can lead our lives on a journey toward transcendence and orient our lives to be creators of transcendence. The Neoplatonist said that we were created by a God who is the fullness of transcendence, and that our lives are a journey towards transcendence, towards God. Our life is a journey towards that which makes us happy. Jewish spirituality enhances the role of the way of our life. Buddhist spirituality reflects the way of enlightenment through meditation. Chinese spirituality presents the Tao, the way of nature. Hellenistic spirituality presents three parts of the way of purgation, which leads us away from the material, the way of enlightenment, which leads us to understand the real world, and the way of union, which leads us to participate in the highest realities. Christian spirituality adopted these three ways to union with God. Islamic spirituality reflects the way to God. When we contemplate transcendence, we can ask ourselves, who is the creator of such perfection? What is the source of transcendence? And we can conclude that a superior being shares his transcendence, his perfections with us. A creator shares his perfection with created beings, so our exercise of contemplation leads us on a journey towards the Creator. Many may not share the religious dimension of spirituality. Many believe in the existence of spirituality but do not believe in God or are distant from God. There are several examples from different religious traditions, where a person interacted with God without being aware of it. In the Old Testament, Jacob had a religious experience, but he was not aware of it. Genesis relates that Jacob had a dream. He saw a stair that rested on the earth, the top of which touched the sky. Angels of God were ascending and descending on it. And God said to him, I am with you. I will protect you wherever you go. I will not leave you until I have fulfilled all that I promised you. Jacob awoke from his sleep and exclaimed, Truly the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it. This place is nothing less than the house of God and the gate of heaven. God can be in our lives, talk to us, accompany us, help us, even if we do not realize it. The Old Testament book of Tobit describes how Tobiah traveled a long healing journey with the angel Raphael. The angel traveled with him and instructed him, although Tobiah did not know he was an angel. God was interacting with Tobiah through the angel Raphael, although he was unaware. The New Testament describes how, after Jesus' death, two disheartened disciples left Jerusalem. As they were conversing, Jesus himself came and walked with them and began a dialogue with them. Their hearts burned as Jesus explained the scriptures to them, but they did not recognize him. During the day, we may have religious experiences. God speaks to us. Our hearts burn for God's presence, but we do not realize that we are interacting with God. In the Hindu Bhagavad Gita, Prince Arjuna dialogues with Lord Krishna, not knowing that he was God, and begins a transformative experience. We can have experiences where God instructs us within, dialogues with us, transforms us, heals us, without being aware of our interaction with God. St. John of the Cross, in his poem Spiritual Canticle, describes our journey to God. The canticle incorporates centuries of contemplative experience, incorporating both the Old and New Testaments. The canticle is highly valued by non-Christians and even non-religious spiritual traditions. Let us walk this journey by meditating on some of its verses. You can download the Spiritual Canticle for free from the internet. The first stanza of the canticle reflects an experience that many of us live, the absence of God in our lives. How can we know spiritual realities if they are invisible? How can we know a God who is invisible? In the second stanza, he expresses the emotional effects of the absence of God, the desire for something we want and do not have, and makes us suffer and die. Thus we begin our search, a journey that lasts our whole life, through everything we experience. In our daily life, we dialogue with reality, asking it where God is. And the creatures respond to us, showing us the beauty of God, His goodness, His love. But this transcendence does not fulfill us completely. It is not enough. The soul continues to search for a personal encounter with God. Several stanzas later, God reveals Himself to us. Perhaps He does it many times during the day, without our noticing it. There are two stanzas where there is not a single action, not a single verb. Everything is contemplation. God is like the mountains, majestic, gigantic, imposing. The solitary valleys show a calm, pleasant God, full of life that manifests itself in the waters, the trees, the singing of the birds, in the silence that fills us with peace. The strange islands show a distant and unknown God, beyond the common notions of men. We find it difficult to understand His ways, judgments, and works, extraordinary though they may be. The sonorous rivers show a God full of life, of energy, of light. It is a spiritual voice that surpasses all other sounds and voices in the world. God is like the air, spiritual, infinite, filling us with peace, like Elijah in the cave who discovered God in a gentle breeze. When we are in the presence of the Spirit of God, we feel the highest delight of which the soul is capable in this life. God is a quiet night as dawn approaches. Our soul is calm, rested, and at peace after a peaceful night. God is a silent music that rejoices us, a solitude that speaks to us, a concert of sublime melody. God is a supper that feeds us, gives us life, takes care of us. St. John of the Cross proposes contemplation as a journey of life towards transcendence, towards God, to live in His presence in a constant dialogue with Him. And so we enter the second part of this workshop. Our journey to transcendence is a driver of a leadership culture. Our power to appreciate and create transcendence illuminates and inspires our vision, the ideal toward which we are moving, the future we envision. Our power to appreciate and create transcendence gives life and energizes our mission, our values. It inspires ideals and values, building relationships, community. It illuminates and clarifies our ability to make decisions based on our discernment. It energizes our transformational power, promoting social actions towards the common good. The transcendental dimension of our spirituality maximizes the intellectual capital of a nation and an organization. The transcendental dimension of our spirituality helps us to build human capital, organizational knowledge towards transcendence. It helps us to build social capital with people who share our search for transcendence. It helps us to build renewal capital in the creation of a new reality. It helps us to build process capital in the execution of actions in the best possible way. The transcendental dimension of our spirituality leads society to a better future, unifies society by walking together toward goodness, beauty, and truth, building a leadership culture, individualistic. Well, this concludes this workshop. Relying on St. John of the Cross, we did our experiential learning, where we started feeling the absence of God and experiencing how contemplation helps us to discover transcendence and to walk in search of the creator of transcendence. It helps us to live life in all its fullness, in positive, happily. Then we saw how that life journey to transcendence builds our leadership, which promotes the success of society. Our spirituality is valuable and transformational. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. I invite you to visit my website, where you can download for free some books that I wrote, which contain the research material that give foundation to these workshops. You may be interested to go to the sources, to more than 500 thinkers who reflected on these issues. You can also find videos summarizing these books.